Welcome to this edition of Head to Head. I'm your host, Cam McKinney, and this is episode number 221 of the podcast. And in this episode of the podcast, I am talking about how the Patriots do not have an offensive coordinator for the upcoming NFL season. This has been one of the biggest and most annoying storylines of the NFL offseason and preseason have been the Patriots not officially naming an offensive coordinator after losing Josh McDaniels, who is now the head coach of the Las Vegas Raiders. During the team's great 6 Super Bowl run, they've always had a respected offensive mind in charge. Charlie Weis from 2000 to 2004, winning 3 Super Bowl titles. Josh McDaniels from 2006 to 2008, and again from 2012 to 2021, winning 3 Super Bowl titles, and Bill O'Brien in 2011. There have been other seasons when the Patriots did not have an official offensive coordinator in 2005, 2009, and 2010. But during those seasons, either Josh McDaniels or Bill O'Brien were on the staff. And oh, by the way, they had Tom Brady, the greatest starting quarterback in the history of football. The real reason people now are making a huge deal out of them not having an offensive coordinator is who is seemingly in charge of the offense. Matt Patricia, who was the team's defensive coordinator from 2012 to 2017 before becoming the head coach of the Detroit Lions, and Joe Judge, who coached the team's special teams from 2012 to 2019 before being named the head coach of the New York Giants. Both of their tenures as head coaches were disastrous to say the least. And as I'm recording this, Matt Patricia is not only going to be the team's offensive line coach, he's going to be the one calling plays, while Joe Judge will be the team's quarterback coach. It's one thing bringing these guys back into the fold after them failing to be NFL head coaches. It's another thing to give these guys significant coaching jobs on your team. I personally find it odd that Matt Patricia would rather be your offensive line coach and play caller than be your team's defensive coordinator, which he was from 2012 to 2017. Why would that not be the gig he has for this team? I mean, the team right now also does not have a defensive coordinator. That could just be Matt Patricia, but instead he has a role in your offense. It just doesn't make any sense. At least with Joe Judge, there was a point when the team was going to officially name him offensive coordinator if Josh McDaniels had left for the Indianapolis Colts like he intended to. It's been a weird preseason for Judge and Patricia. During the first preseason game, Patricia called plays for quarterback Brian Hoyer, while Judge called the plays for rookie quarterback Billy Zappi, and during the second and third games, it was Matt Patricia calling plays for Mac Jones. Here's what Mac said about Patricia. I think Matty's done a great job. He's one of the most brilliant people I've been around in terms of football knowledge. That sounds great and sounds like a ringing endorsement, but is this just a second-year quarterback who doesn't feel like he can call out his team for not having an offensive coordinator? Like, if Mac Jones was in year 10 in the NFL, would he be taking any of this? Like, ask yourselves, if Tom Brady were still on the roster, would he accept Matt Patricia and Joe Judge being the ones in charge? I think the answer to that is clearly no. I think the Patriots are somewhat taking advantage of the fact that Mac Jones is a second-year quarterback and he just has to kind of take what is given to him. I mean, this is all going to come down to, is Mac Jones better than he was last year? Because if he's the same or worse this year, will be an utter failure for the team. Think about how many young quarterbacks fail because their teams change offensive coordinators. With this situation, they are not even really replacing Josh McDaniels, who many credit for Jones's rookie season. What I and many people think should have happened is the minute that Josh McDaniels took the head coaching job for the Raiders, the Patriots should have brought in an already established offensive coordinator, and there were guys available. They could have named Nick Caley, who has been with the team, and it has been reported that the reason they did not name Nick Caley as the offensive coordinator because they were worried that Nick Caley would want to leave the organization the minute he was able to, that they want somebody to be there for a very long time. And I understand that you don't want offensive coordinators to change over time, but if Nick Caley really he is the best option at offensive coordinator right now, I think he should be the offensive coordinator right now. I wouldn't even be mad if they brought in Adam Gase, who was a bad head coach, but at least he's an offensive coordinator. I just wanted them to name someone who is qualified to hold the position of play caller. The Patriots should not be worried about Nick Caley leaving their team. What they should be worried about is the development of Mac Jones. There's been a lot of speculation as to whether or not Mac Jones is going to become an elite starting quarterback in the NFL. And if he's not going to be elite, I think you need a top-notch offensive coordinator to make the right play calls to make him look elite. My personal opinion on Mac Jones at this moment is I think he needs to be in the best situation possible for him to lead your team to the postseason. And right now, I do not believe the Patriots are putting him in that best situation. I think they are setting him up for failure. We all talk about how the second season for a quarterback is crucial. Look at all of the quarterbacks that had great second seasons. They all had a great offensive mind leading them. Patrick Mahomes had Andy Reid. Andrew Luck had Bruce Arians. Lamar Jackson had Greg Roman. And you're telling me that Mac Jones is going to shine with Matt Patricia and Joe Judge? I find that really difficult to believe, and I think you should too. Start to question that. It doesn't add up. It's been documented that one of the reasons as to why neither Patricia or Judge have officially been named offensive coordinator is because the Lions and Judge are still paying their salaries, respectively. The media and fans wanted Bill O'Brien to come back, but at the moment, O'Brien is the offensive coordinator for Nick Saban at Alabama. Let me be very clear about all of this. If one of the biggest reasons as to why you don't have an offensive coordinator is because Matt Patricia and Joe Judge are cheap right now, that is unforgivable. And I really hope that's not the case. Because not only does this offense need to be as good as it was last year, I think it needs to take a major jump forward. There are players on this offense that need to be a lot better than they were last year. And I'm talking about tight end Jonnu Smith, who was utterly useless last season, and wide receiver Nelson Aguilar, who has had a good camp, but needs to be a lot better than he was last year. Nelson Aguilar is the highest paid wide receiver in the history of the New England Patriots, and Jonnu Smith is making more money than Hunter Henry, who is a lot better than him at this point. I like some of their weapons. I really like Kendrick Bourne last season, and I think bringing in Devontae Parker is a good move. I just don't feel like Matt Patricia is going to get the best out of them, especially when he also has to coach the offensive line. And like I mentioned earlier, the New England Patriots also do not have a defensive coordinator either. Instead, they have Gerard Mayo, a former Patriots player, and Steve Belichick, head coaches Bill Belichick's son, as linebacker coaches. I don't understand how it's good for your football team to have neither an offensive or defensive coordinator and to be the only team in all of the NFL without either position. How is that putting your team in the best place to move forward? I and every other Patriots fans have heard the counter argument that Bill Belichick is the greatest head coach in all of football and there's nothing to see here. And I do understand that argument. Bill Belichick is the greatest coach in all of football, but he is 70 years old and is playing a more pivotal role in the team than ever before. At least on the team, you had a guy like Josh McDaniels. You had a Matt Patricia as the defensive coordinator. You had a Brian Flores running the defense. Now you have a bunch of assistant coaches that none of us think are all that respectable. Bill Belichick should be playing a lesser role on the team moving forward, not a bigger one. What happens when Bill Belichick retires and what you're left with is a whole bunch of nothing? I know I'm not on the minority with this thought, but I really think that the future head coach of this football team should have been Josh McDaniels because of his relationship with Mac Jones. That's what I think was the most important important thing to this dynasty was that Tom Brady had Bill Belichick and they had each other. Josh McDaniels could have had Mac Jones, and I think they would have had a lot of success together. That's what made that dynasty special, and this second act could have been really good. I would have liked the next 15 years of Josh McDaniels as the head coach and Mac Jones as his quarterback, and now we're not going to see it. And looking at this climate, it really does feel like Matt Patricia has a real chance to be the next head coach of the New England Patriots, and that's not a future I look forward to. A lot of this offseason chatter could have been avoided if the team just named an offensive coordinator and then named Gerard Mayo as the defensive coordinator. That's another thing that's really odd about this team. Gerard Mayo, the past few off seasons, has had interviews to be the next head coach of some teams. He interviewed for the Eagles job and then didn't get it, but he can't even be this team's defensive coordinator. Like, what's going on with the New England Patriots just doesn't make any sense anymore. And this is a team that used to make sense. They used to be logical. They used to stay out of the off-season talk. We used to not make fun of them. They were a well-run, respected organization, and now they are doing the exact opposite. I just find it so hard to believe that Bill Belichick does not respect the offensive or defensive coordinator positions. The man was a defensive coordinator for the New York Giants, and he was a big part of them winning Super Bowls as a coordinator, and now the man won't name either an offensive or defensive coordinator. There's a part of me that thinks this is what happens when one man has all of the power. I mean, think about all of the turnover that has happened the last few years in the New England Patriots organization. Tom Brady, the greatest quarterback in the history of football, left your team and won a Super Bowl with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Nick Caserio, who was basically the team's general manager, left to run the Houston Texans, and now Josh McDaniels has left to become the head coach of the Las Vegas Raiders. Maybe this is just how all dynasties end. They always have to end in ruins because it's not going to last forever. It's just surprising what is going on with the Patriots, because I think a lot of this is self-inflicted. Like I said, all they would need to do to avoid all this offseason talk is name an offensive and defensive coordinator. At this moment, Tom Brady is really winning the Brady versus Belichick argument. Brady has gone on to win a Super Bowl. I always pick the player over the coach because the player has more control over the actual game, and the decision making that Bill Belichick is doing since Brady has been bad. I will say that I think very highly of Bill Belichick. He is the greatest coach in the history of football. His decision making since Tom Brady left the organization has been bad. Naming Cam Newton as your quarterback, then getting Mac Jones, him having a great rookie season, and then you not naming an offensive coordinator the following season is really bad decision making. I didn't expect Brady to leave the team and for the team to still end up winning Super Bowls. I did expect them to at least be respectable, and right now I think they are a little bit of a laughing stock across the league because no one thinks that this is going to work out for them. The lack of an offensive coordinator for the Patriots has caused a massive debate between Patriots fans and the media members that cover the team. Some think this is a massive problem. How can a team win without a competent coach running the offense? The other side will tell you Bill Belichick is the best coach in football history, and there must be a method to his madness. What's great about all these debates regarding sports is we will see in real time who is right and who is wrong. If the Patriots miss the playoffs and it's because of the offense or lack thereof, most people will point to this issue as the reason why. And if the team wins 12 games and at any point this season looks like a legitimate Super Bowl contending team, then I and many other people will be proven wrong. The games are going to give us the answers to all of these questions we have about this team. I don't think it's working out, but I'll admit I have no idea if it's going to work out or not. I'm going to have to watch the games, and that's the fun part in all of this, because all of the talk is kind of getting to me. It's all we're talking about. Oh, they don't have a play caller. Is this going to work out, or is this going to be a disaster? We are about to get all of those answers. Bill Belichick cannot hide the answers from us, like I think he's been doing this offseason. We are going to find out if this experiment of not having an offensive coordinator is going to be the best thing for Mac Jones and the future of this football team. Belichick is putting himself in a position where he's either going to look like a genius or he's going to look like he's losing his fastball. Like, that's what I think is so curious about what Bill Belichick is doing. He's basically putting his role as a football genius on the line, because if this doesn't work out for him, we're going to make fun of him constantly, and it's going to be said that he made the wrong moves and that he can't win without Tom Brady as his quarterback. But if it does work out for him, we're all going to say, look, he can even win with Matt Patricia and Joe Judge running the offense. He's even better than we thought. One of the things I really hope is he is at least choosing who he thinks are the best candidates to run the offense. I hope it's not just because he likes Matt Patricia and he likes Joe Judge that they are the ones running the offense. I hope at least he believes they are qualified to do so, because there is this running narrative right now that Bill Belichick only wants to be surrounded with the people he likes and trusts. And I think that's the wrong way to view being a football coach. I think you need to be surrounded by great football minds. I hope he at least thinks that Matt Patricia and Joe Judge are great football minds. I hope he respects them and doesn't just view them as lackeys, because right now he has Matt Patricia, Joe Judge, and a few of his sons on the staff. So if this doesn't work out, his reputation is kind of on the line. Bill Belichick is going to be a Hall of Fame coach no matter what happens, but I think this really could end up impacting his legacy if the Patriots only win 5 or 6 games. If they only win 5 or 6 games, I think next offseason we're talking about the Patriots possibly moving on from Bill Belichick as their head coach. I don't think he can live through a disastrous second season for Mac Jones. I think this needs to be a progression, not a regression. This team needs to be at least as good as last year, win 9 games, and possibly make the postseason. I think anything less, we're talking about how it's been a disaster not having an offensive coordinator. I really think this offense needs to look really good to justify having Matt Patricia and Joe Judge running it. Even if it's average, I'll be asking myself, why don't you just bring in a better, more qualified guy to run your offense? Why are these guys here? Even if the offense is average, for my money, it needs to be above average to justify these guys running the offense. Overall, New England Patriots fans are divided. Half of them want this to fail so they can get back to being a respectable organization, and half of them are willing to go wherever Bill Belichick will take them. And I do understand that line of thinking somewhat. This is a man who's won 6 Super Bowl titles as a member of the Patriots. He could have possibly won 3 more if they had beaten the Giants and the Eagles. Like, this is the best, winningest coach in all of football. I understand why you would want to ride with him until it goes off the rails. This is crunch time for Belichick. He has put way too much pressure on himself and this team to be good. If he wanted less pressure, he would have more qualified coaches running both the offense and defense. Here's where I am in all of this. I want positions like offensive coordinator to matter. I thought that Josh McDaniels was great at his job, so I find it really hard to believe Matt Patricia or Joe Judge can fill the void left by him. If I'm wrong, I'll be the first to admit it. Maybe I'm wasting your time talking about all of this. Maybe Bill Belichick is going to prove us all wrong and go on and win a Super Bowl. Like, he won 6 Super Bowls with a 6th-round draft pick. He's proven us all wrong before. This is where I draw the line, though. I want positions like coordinators to matter, and I don't trust that Belichick is the only guy in all of football telling me they don't. I think what hurts the most as a fan of the Patriots is that after that brutal loss to the Buffalo Bills, your divisional rival in the postseason, where you didn't even get them to punt once, this is how you react to that? You don't go out and name offensive coordinator to replace Josh McDaniels, a man who helped you win 3 Super Bowl titles. You don't go out and improve on your team. Instead, you bring me Matt Patricia and Joe Judge, 2 guys who were good coaches but didn't coach on offense. Matt Patricia was the defensive coordinator. Joe Judge was the coach of special teams. And then they went out and they became head coaches and it didn't work out. I would be fine if they were on the coaching staff in lesser positions. I just don't want them to be the ones who are in charge of Mac Jones's future. Offense is everything in today's NFL. The development of your young quarterback is everything in the NFL. And to put put that in the hands of Matt Patricia and Joe Judge. I really hope it works out. I just don't see it. I think this team is going to be an average football team, which I think is unacceptable, because I do think if Mac Jones was given a quality offensive coordinator, that this team could easily be an 11 or 12 win team. They have talent on the roster. Kendrick Bourne, Hunter Henry, the running backs are really good on this team. In all my years of watching the New England Patriots, I never thought that coaching would become their biggest problem, but here we are. Thanks for listening to this edition of Head to Head. I'm Cam McKinney, and there'll be a new episode of the podcast every Monday on Apple Podcasts and Spotify, so please rate, review, and subscribe.